This method has helped me solve overall structure questions correctly every single time. Let's look at an example on how I solve these questions. Using NASA's powerful James Webb Space Telescope, Mercedes Lopez Morales and colleagues measured the wavelengths of light traveling through the atmosphere of WASP 39b, an exoplanet or planet outside our solar system. On the scrap paper I'm given on the test, I write that this is an explanation of what these people did. Then I read the next sentence. Different molecules absorb different wavelengths of light, and the wavelength measurements showed the presence of carbon dioxide in WASP 39b's atmosphere. This finding not only differs the first decisive evidence of CO2 in the atmosphere of an exoplanet, but it also illustrates the potential for future scientific breakthroughs held by JWST. On the scrap paper, I'll also write that this shows how important the finding is. Then I look for the multiple choices that say, it explains what these people did, and it shows the findings and how important it is. So it needs to state these two things. Choice A says, it discusses a method used by some researchers, then states why an alternative method is superior to it. Comparing this to what we have on the scrap paper, this answer is wrong. Choice B. It describes how researchers made the scientific discovery, then explains the importance of that discovery. Comparing this to the scrap paper, this is correct. It says the same thing. Alright, now let's look at another example. However, this one is a poem. It says the following text is from 1923 poem Black Finger by Angelina Weld Grimke, a black American writer. A cypress is a type of evergreen tree. So when it comes to poems, I always divide them into two sections, the first half and the second half. The first half says, I have just seen a most beautiful thing, slim and still, against a gold sky, a straight black cypress, sensitive, exquisite. So we can see that this explains how beautiful something is. Now let's read the second half. A black finger pointing upwards. Why, beautiful still finger, are you black? And why are you pointing upwards? This half of the poem are questions on why the object looks the way it does. So overall, the multiple choice should mention two things: an explanation on how beautiful something is, and questions on why the object looks the way it does. So let's look at the multiple choices. Choice A says, the speaker assesses a natural phenomenon, then questions the accuracy of her assessment. It doesn't mention the beauty of the object, and it doesn't question it. Choice B. The speaker describes a distinctive sight in nature, then ponders what meaning to attribute to that sight. This mentions that there was an amazing sight in nature, and that the person is wondering what the sight means. So choice B could be correct. However, let's check the other choices. Choice C. The speaker presents an outdoor scene, then considers a human behavior occurring within that scene. It doesn't mention the beauty of the object, and it doesn't question it either. Choice D. The speaker examines her surroundings, then speculates about their influence on her emotional state. It doesn't mention the beauty of the object, and it doesn't question it. Let's look at another example. This one is a little different since it asks for the overall structure of the underlined sentence only. However, for these questions, we need to read the entire passage to get an understanding of what the function of the underlined text has to do with the overall structure. So, astronomers are confident that the star Betelgeuse will eventually consume all the helium in its core and explode in a supernova. This is a claim. They are much less confident, however, about when this will happen, since that depends on an internal characteristic of Betelgeuse that are largely unknown. So this problem is related to the claim. Astrophysicists Serafina El-Bedri, Nance, and colleagues recently investigated whether acoustic waves in the star could be used to determine the interstellar states, but concluded that this method could not sufficiently reveal Betelgeuse's internal characteristic to allow its evolutionary state to be firmly fixed. This shows that they could not solve the problem mentioned in the previous sentence. Let's look at the multiple choices. A. Describes a serious limitation of the method used by Nance and colleagues. This choice doesn't say that there's a problem that couldn't be solved. It just says that the method that these people used was limited. Choice B. It presents the central finding reported by Nance and colleagues. Nance and colleagues didn't find anything, and in the underlined sentence it says that there is a problem which is not stated in choice B. Choice C. It identifies the problem that Nance and colleagues attempted to solve but did not. This choice is correct since the underlined sentence does show that there is a problem which could not be solved. Choice D. It explains how the work of Nance and colleagues was received by others in the field. This is also wrong since this choice doesn't tell us about the problem that was not solved. If you want to learn how to solve more of these function of the underlined sentence questions, you can watch this video.